You roughly need about 6 to 8 inches of material, and then that should be more than sufficient to go cut all these petals out of. Alright, so now that I've got my pattern all drawn out, I'm going to take my ruler, you can take a tape measure, but we are going to find the middle, at least close to the middle of our patterns, and we're going to put a center hole. So we're going to kind of go across the petals at kind of their widest point, take our Sharpie marker. This one's at 3 inches. So 3 inches, that's fine. The middle, that'd be about 1.5 inches. So you go across a couple of these, and let's just kind of make sure we're at about 1.5 inches. That's pretty good right there in the middle. And then that's where we're going to put our center hole. We'll do that to all the rest of them. We're going to put a center hole here for our screw. Now, before we go drill our hole, let's get ourselves a scrap block of wood. Just anything out of the scrap bin that we can go put a hole in, or put a little bit of a drill hole spot in. So put that down on the bench, put our pattern, our metal pattern down. Let's take our drill, and then we're going to go drill right here in the middle, holding it down just until it gets through. Take our screw, let's just make sure that it goes through really nice. Yep, and it goes through really, really nice. And we're good there. So we need to go do the rest of these, putting the holes in, and then we can move on to the next step. Now we want to get all these drilled before we cut them out, because if we go and drill the hole after we cut them out, the piece could want to spin around and potentially cut our fingers. Let's go and drill all these first, and then we'll go cut these out. Now, the next thing that we're going to do after we get all of these cut out, with the exception of this piece and this piece, we are going to slice straight in, but not all the way to the middle. We're going to stop a little bit short of the middle. That way we can bend each one of these individual pieces up and curve them. Otherwise it's just a flat flower. No one likes a flat flower. We want a nice curved flower. So basically what I'm wanting you to do is take it. We can draw lines if we really, really want, but I want you to go and cut it in and just stop a little bit short of the hole. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to go in pretty much the same distance again. And I'm going to keep on going at each one of these. So now when we put this on our stem, we can bend these up. We're not going to really do it beforehand, but we can bend these up now. And then we're going to go and curve these as well. All right, so now we got into this point. We cut our petals out. We have our holes drilled. We have the petals cut into a little bit so we can flip them up and curve them. Now we are going to take our copper tube and we can just unroll this a little bit, roll it out. It's fairly easily flexible to unroll. And we're going to go measure out about 8 inches worth of copper tube. Again, this is 1/4 inch copper tube. I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to measure this out, hold it kind of close to the end, and I'm going to measure it out about 8 inches here, and I marked it with my marker. Now I'm going to take my tubing cutter. Now this, you turn it towards the left, it opens up. Turn it towards the right or clockwise, it tightens up. And there's 2 little rollers down in here that we got to set our copper tube on right in the middle of this. And then we're going to set our knife here right on the other side, so it sits on there just nice and flat and squared up on it, right on our line the best that we can. So now I'm going to take that, I'm going to open this up, I'm going to set it on my line the best I can, and I'm going to put my cutting wheel basically right there on that marker line. Now, when we go cut this, we want to give ourselves enough room to kind of swing the tool around, and we want to put just a little bit of pressure on it. Okay, we want to put a little bit of pressure on it. So then I'm going to go and take it forward around one time, and I'm only going to give it just a little twist on the tool, and I'm going to go back around again, give it a little twist, go back around again, and just keep giving it a little more twist each and every time, and it will cut this right off. Now if we do a whole lot of big twist on this, we will squash our copper tube. See, now we cut it off. So it's all cut. It's not, there's a little bit of sharp on here, but not severely bad. Now what we're going to do next, now we have this cut, we're going to take our tubing cutter, and we have this blade that flips out. I'm going to flip it out, and we're going to take it, we're going to put it in the end of our copper tube, and we're just going to take the burrs off on the inside, and we're going to reopen up our tube. We need that opened up so we can get our drywall anchor inside. All right, so now I got my drywall anchor. Now it happens to be a red one. It can maybe be a blue one or whatever it is, as long as it's the size that fits our copper tube pretty well and fits our screw that's going to go in here. So let's take our drywall anchor and kind of push it in the hole and kind of push it in about as far as we can get. Now take our tube, take our drywall anchor, and I'm just going to tap it really lightly. I'm not going to get too crazy wild with it, but I'm going to kind of tap it until it's good and tight into our tube. But we need to be careful that we don't end up breaking it off, and then we got to start over again. All right, so now we're going to go stack our pedals all up on each other, and we're going to get the screw put in, and then we're going to get it all tightened down to the stem. So the way that this all goes, the order of these pedals is this one is on the bottom. So we start with that one on the bottom, and then we put the largest one on top of that one. Take the next one that's smaller, set it on top of it. The next one that's smaller than that, set it on top of the last one, smaller one, and the smallest one. So now that we have our order, we're going to take our screw and we're going to start putting them all on. So now one on top of the other. Okay, I just keep stacking them all on. Sometimes if we drill the hole a little bit too small, we might have to thread our screw into the tube, our stem, and we're going to start to thread it on. We're going to take a Phillips screwdriver, get one that fits in real nicely. We're going to hold on to the drywall anchor part, and we're going to start threading this in to the drywall anchor. And we're going to tighten this down as far as we can get. So the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to start bending these pedals up. So I'd start with the inside one, start bending them up. kind of bend them up. And then we can start curving them. And this moves pretty easily. All right, so now you can see that I have all my petals all formed up. It looks very much like a rose at this point. So now I'm going to take the very bottom leaf, the bottom pattern, and I'm going to bend that down. Okay, I'm going to bend it down. That does not need to get bent up towards our flower petals. So I'll just bend it down, kind of like that. I'll take it out of the vise. And now you see, it's kind of a pretty looking flower. What we want to start off with is a nice straight end on our board. That way we have a nice straight edge to start off with to go measure. We don't want to have an edge that looks like this. Take your tape measure, measure this out to a 3-inch piece. Mark it at 3 inches. Okay. And we're going to take our square and we're going to hook this onto the straight edge of our board. It hooks on there really nice. So we're going to line that up with our pencil mark. And then we're just going to make a nice straight line. And we'll go over to the miter saw and we'll go cut that off. And we'll repeat the process doing a 4-inch piece and a 6-inch piece. So always keep your piece flat on the saw table. Always tight up against the back fence. And then we're going to line up our saw with our pencil line. If we're within a 1/16 of an inch, that's pretty good. We don't want to be off by like a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. Certainly not by a whole inch. But if we're within a 1/16 of an inch, that's pretty good. So at this point, I'll go cut this off, and then we'll just repeat the steps over for our 4-inch piece and our 6-inch piece. All right, so now we're gonna go put our pieces together. So we got our 6-inch piece here. Then we're gonna take our 4-inch piece and our 3-inch piece. And we're just gonna kind of stack them up. And we're gonna put a little bit of glue, wood glue in. And then we're gonna take our nailer and we're gonna put a couple nails in. Let's put a little bit of glue on this and we'll get this nailed layer by layer. So take the pieces apart. I'm just going to take a little bit of glue. We don't have to put a lot of glue down, just a little bit. And then we'll just kind of put a little bit down on here just to kind of help it out, just a little bit. So I'll take that. Let's take our 4-inch piece. We're going to put it down over top the glue. We're going to kind of move it around a little bit, kind of spread the glue out a little bit, even everything up. Okay, it's pretty close right there. I'm just going to put a couple nails in. Now again, keeping your fingers away, press down all the way so the safety plunger is all the way down, and then very gently squeeze the trigger and put the nail in. So we're going to go over to the other side, and again, same thing again. And we're going to put a couple more in. So I'm going to put a little glue down again. Of course, I grabbed the glue bottle that has not a lot of glue in it, but put a little bit of glue down. Take it, kind of wiggle it around a little bit again. Kind of try to center it up. Take our nail gun, and we're gonna get it ready to go, keeping fingers back. Again, trying to keep it square. Just like that. Again, we're still free to move around. We're going to mark out where our hole is going to be. We'll just to drill a hole for our stem, and then we'll get that drilled. And then we're going to use some hot glue, and we're going to hot glue our flower right into the base. All right, so now that we've got our base all glued and nailed together, we're going to take our tape measure and we are going to measure out for getting our center hole. So I'm going to measure this out. We're at 3 inches. So half of 3 inches is 1.5 inches. So I'll make a little mark on the top block. And then now I'm going to go off of one of the other corners, whichever one is going to be closest to. This one's just a little bit over 3 inches this way, so I will go 1.5 inches. I will go 1 9/16 inches on this particular one. Otherwise it'd be 1.5 inches again if it was a 3-inch block, if it was square. So I'm going to make 2 little marks. I'm going to take my my square and I'm going to hook that on, and I'm just going to make a nice little light line across, nothing too dark because we want to go and sand it off. And I'm going to go this way here too, line it up with our other mark, and just a little mark right there. Then we have a nice center point where we are going to drill our hole. Kind of keep it close. I'm going to take the glue gun and I'm going to put just a little bit down in the hole. Now we have to move fairly quickly, so once you get some glue down in there, we got to kind of get done really quickly. So let's get our flower stem positioned the way that we want it, and we are going to work our flower down in. The hole is going to be just a little bit tight, but we're going to work it down in, and then we're going to let the glue sit and cool, and then it's glued in and our project is done.